All right, coaches, how's it going? Today we're going to take a quick look at a reception video. And one of the things that I wanted to highlight for you is this idea that when learning to pass a float serve, one of the common things that we see a lot is a float serve that has late movement on the ball that is so late that either the receiver wasn't seeing it um, and putting themselves in a position to adjust to it, or simply it happened so late that even though they did see it, um, there really wasn't enough time for them to read and react and coordinate an adjustment. Okay, so we're gonna take a look at this passer here. I apologize that I don't know who or what team this is. It's just a random match that I picked. Perhaps it's Angelo State University. But you can see right there, there's the reception error. I'm going to take a look at it one more time, zoomed in, full speed. And hopefully what you're seeing there is some late movement, some late float on the ball. Okay, and I slowed it down here so we can really see it. But it's, oh, where'd it go? There's the ball. Okay. So she's tracking this serve. It's moving on its line. And then just as it starts to drop and float downward, what it appears to me is here in this last few feet of the ball flight, I think it floats down and to her right just a little bit. Whereas you can see how she's positioned herself was all based on this initial early specifying information, meaning the early flight and line of the serve. And so she's moving herself deep into that position. Well, late float or late movement on the ball occurs here. And so she ends up at a position, and you can see right there, it's going to hit kind of her top right wrist or forearm area. And she's going to be too far back. She's also going to be lifting. So another thing that is pretty common is you'll see players kind of lift their hips or their body or platform to lift and push that ball up towards the net. So you're going to see that movement here. And it looks a little bit kind of like a hop. I think often what the initial reaction would be from a coach would be, hey, don't stand up. Don't pop up when you pass. In fact, a receiver will probably say, oh, I stood up there, or I jumped and hopped a little bit. That's not the problem at all. The problem is the late movement on that ball. So everything tells her up until this point that this ball is going to be intercepted right here where her sweet spot is. Okay, so she's reading and tracking everything correctly up until the moment that the ball floats and changes late. There's nothing we can do about that. I mean, some elite players, I shouldn't just say elite, some players who are elite and fast and very quick would probably be able to make a late adjustment and a late movement on this ball. I don't know how fast or elite or quick this player is, but she clearly didn't, make a move here that would help save this from being a reception error. But again, the point and the feedback here is the error is not in her shuffling back or popping up or standing up to lift and pass. She tracked it extremely well up until the point that it floated late. The final point that I want to make here is if it floats so late that the player can't physically react and adjust in time, then that's really not an error or a mistake that we should worry about. Okay, that's going to happen. It's the design of the ball. It's the feature of the float serve. If you can get it to float late, which is partially luck, then you're in business. And if you're on the receiving end of that, then obviously it's bad luck, or as our friend Steven will say, it's hard luck. Another just related, since I mentioned kind of the early specifying information, and I also talked about players who are elite or just fast and quick and agile. Players who are faster, quicker, and more agile are going to be able to use late specifying information. Okay, so again, to be clear, what do I mean by late specifying information? As this ball gets closer and closer and closer to this receiver, we're going to call that later and later specifying information. Okay, now if you're quick and fast and agile, you can make use of late information. You can wait, and maybe shuffle a little bit later, or not fully commit to, lining up in this deep sort of back left movement for her. A faster, quicker, more agile player can use later information and also move later because they are faster. Okay, a person at my age now, right? Or just, I say my age, meaning I really don't play or do anything athletic these days. So I'm going to be moving much slower. There's not going to be a whole lot that I can do to make use of late specifying information. And certainly a ball or serve that moves late on me, I'm certainly not fast, quick, and agile enough to do anything about that. So it's kind of like a slow moving middle blocker is maybe going to cheat and move early because they're not as fast, right? And if you make them wait and read longer, they may gather late specifying information, but it won't be useful to them because they won't be fast enough to make use of that information. Okay, and that's something that we have to balance as coaches, whether it's with blocking or receiving or whatever skill it is. Again, the individual structural and functional differences of each athlete are things that we have to know very well and pay attention to, and understand that feedback and information that we give to one player, while we would hope would also work for all players or the majority of players, some of them will be uniquely different enough that they may have to cheat. They may have to use different strategies because there will be other affordances that they can take advantage of, where or not take advantage of, where some of your more athletic, faster, maybe even just more physically developed players, stronger players are able to make use of. Okay, thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll catch you in the next one. If you have any questions, just drop them in the comments, and I'll be sure to hit you back or reply to those. All right.